Canceled my wedding. Fiance regrets cheating. Wedding canceled. My lying piece of crap of an ex-fiance decided to have one last dinner date with her ex-boyfriend. I saw everything. I knew she was lying, I just knew it. I had a gut feeling. I walked in and caught her red-handed and I canceled the wedding right then and there. As she tried to deny sleeping with her ex-boyfriend while we were together, I told her I read everything. He just sat there with a smirk on his face. I wanted to punch him in his face so bad, but I just walked away, man. This was only 26 days after I proposed to my ex-fiancée. We were together for 3 years. Yes, we've always talked about marriage, but we wanted to get into our careers first. I was only a year into my career when we met, and she was still looking for a job, but eventually she found one. Soon after we met, we started dating, and things was great, but to get to the proposal, finally, after everything we've worked on, everything we've been through just to cheat on me and have one last dinner date. The day I proposed to her, this woman cried her eyes out, telling me how it's finally happening. Everything she's ever dreamed of is coming true. Great careers, great man. We were to get a home and we wanted to have children together. These were her words after I proposed to her. We sat there and had dinner on the rooftop overlooking a nice river in my city. She just kept crying throughout the dinner, not continuously, but off and on every time she'd bring something up, and she'd tell me how I was her everything. Another sad thing, too, is that I was really good friends with her parents, specifically her father and her oldest brother. We all had interest in fishing, so we went fishing a lot, especially at Lake St. Clair. Her father, Brad, and her oldest brother, Junior, really took me in, and it was nice because I grew up the only child, and honestly, I'm not that close to my own parents. Well, I've gotten closer with my dad, but so little about me. I was in boarding school for a majority of my childhood. I do think a misconception about boarding school is that the kids never leave the school. That's not entirely true. So, like a lot of the other students at my school, my parents were or are very rich. Not all of the students are like that, but most of my friends were. So, both my mom and dad have a tech company. They have been millionaires since I was young. They were millionaires before I came along. Now, in boarding schools, or at least the one I was at, we did go home during breaks, but most of the time I lived there. My relationship with my parents is a little different from other people's relationships with their parents. Yes, they take care of me. They bought me things. They've done things for me. When I graduated high school, I had a small home to live in. It was paid for and it was mine. So I guess people could say I was handed things very easily in life. I didn't ask to be born to these parents, but that's just what happened. It's not a mansion or anything. It's just a small 2-bedroom home. It did go up in value, but anyway, I never had that closeness with family. I don't know a lot of my cousins or uncles or aunts, things like that. And I never met my grandparents ever. My parents are from Iqaluit, Nunavut. Both were born there. When they had me, we were in Vancouver. And after I was old enough, I started attending boarding schools in North Vancouver. I still had a ton of friends and things weren't too weird. It's just when I explain this to people as an adult, they expect that I had such a horrible childhood or I was miserable. But no, I had a lot of fun as a kid. And even in high school, I had a great time. Went off to university, completed that, and started my career. Yes, I had some things handed to me like a home and things were all paid for, so I never really had any worries. And after university, I was gifted a car by my parents also. I mean, if you ask me, my parents did what they were supposed to do as far as making sure I was set up for adult life. You know, I'm not too sure about the whole boarding school thing. I guess it benefited them because they were so busy all the time and they didn't have time to watch over me and they didn't want a nanny, I guess, but I think I turned out pretty well But the reason I brought up my ex fiance's father and her oldest brother is because we were very close, but to see how they treated me after I canceled the wedding really hurt me. Now, my ex fiance's parents did not pay for anything. My parents paid for everything. My dad told her father that everything is going to be taken care of. He doesn't have to lift a finger. But as soon as I canceled the wedding and I told both her father and her older brother why I was canceling the wedding, they didn't respect that and thought I was wrong for hurting his daughter. My ex fiance's older brother tried to fight me, physically fight me, told me to meet up and everything, and he was going to bash my head in. How do we go from fishing and laughing and joking and even saving her father's life on a fishing trip? That's an entirely different story, but to her brother wanting to bash my face in because I didn't want to be with their cheating daughter-sister anymore. So the day after the proposal is when I started to get this gut feeling. It wasn't just out of nowhere, she was actually acting different. She was unusually quiet. Now, my ex is not a quiet person. She's very outgoing, very funny, loves to crack jokes. She'd usually be up before me and she'd wake me up, stare me in the face, ready to crack a joke. Or, hey, I thought of the joke this morning. Want to hear it? Apparently, when she was a teenager, she wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but whatever, that's another story. Anyway, I get up and she's up before me. And by the way, we did not live together. We had separate places, but we'd always stay at each other's places. So I get up and she's in the kitchen. I'm thinking she's about to prepare breakfast or something. You know, maybe a thank you for proposing to me finally or something. No, she's in the kitchen drinking wine. Guys, it's 8:30 in the morning. She's drinking wine. I asked her what's going on. Are you okay? She says, absolutely, I'm fine. I'm just thinking about some things. So I ask her, what are you thinking about? Are you okay? Are you worried about the proposal? I thought you were happy. She said, no, I'm super excited about it. Why would you say that? I'm just thinking about things. You know, my career and our future and how it's going to look. That's all. I'm sorry I shouldn't be drinking this early. Now I'm not going to throw my ex under the bus. She doesn't have a drinking problem, but clearly this morning something was wrong. Something was on her mind. Now I know what it is, but just to throw that out there. She's not an alcoholic or anything. Anyway, I grab the glass of wine from our hand and I set it down. I grab her hand and walk over to the couch and we sit and I ask her, what's on your mind? I can tell something's bothering you. You're not even laughing like you usually do. That's when she smiled at me and looked at me and told me that everything is fine. I have nothing to worry about. She's just thinking about our future, and I ask her, are you worried about it? Do you think we're going to have a bad life together or something? She says, oh my God, get out of your head. No, why are you thinking negative? I'm just thinking about us. That's it. I'm glad you proposed to me. I've been waiting for it. I said, okay, I'm sorry, finish your glass of wine. You deserve it. You can have wine in the morning. She ran over with the smiley face she usually has and grabbed her wine, then asked me if I wanted some breakfast. I said absolutely. She made breakfast while I went to work on some stuff I needed to get done. Now, guys, and true story, specifically, I've heard in your videos you talk about gut feelings and trusting it. Man, I tell you, even though my ex-fiance was telling me everything was all right, and she's smiling and prepared breakfast, and I'm going to get to this breakfast in a minute, but I was sitting there on my computer and I still had this gut feeling. I didn't have to poop. I wasn't starving. It was just a feeling that something was off and something was wrong. I felt it, man. I felt it in my stomach. So anyway, not too long after, I sat down. She was calling me into the kitchen to have some breakfast. She made cinnamon rolls, eggs, bacon, and poured me some orange juice. Now the breakfast looked like a typical breakfast, but it wasn't her breakfast. Let me explain. She's very specific with how she lays out her plates. She enjoys cooking and she enjoys preparing food. And when she makes my plate, she always makes it look special or neat. This just looks like it was slapped onto the plate. Kind of like I prepared it. Because I don't care, it's all going into my stomach. It wasn't razzle dazzle, you know what I mean? eggs piled onto the plate, nothing mixed in them. Usually she puts vegetables in there, some pepper, some onions, and I had that in the kitchen. Bacon was a bit burnt, like she forgot it was on the stove, and I could smell it too. And the cinnamon rolls were a little overcooked, not soft and chewy, you know? So that's what I first noticed when I went into the kitchen, that the plate looked like crap. I look at her and she's smiling. Glass of wine still sipping. I said, "Where's your food?" She says, "I'm not really hungry. I'm just drinking. I'll be okay." I sat down and I tried to pick the best looking food to eat because the bacon, it was just a little too burnt for me. I love me some bacon, but do not overcook the bacon. I wasn't going to complain. I didn't say anything, so I started to eat the eggs. Very plain went and grabbed some salt and pepper. She's not noticing. Usually she'll ask me if I want any salt or pepper, or she'll have it sitting there for me. None of that. I got up and grabbed some and put it on my eggs. I was able to get some of the eggs down. I picked around the cinnamon roll. The soft parts I ate, the hard parts stayed on the plate. When I got up, I told her I was done. Now, in my mind, she was going to look down at my plate and say, "Hey, you didn't finish it. You didn't like it or something." It's happened before she expects me to finish my food. She knows I'm going to finish my food. I love to eat. Anyway, I said, "All right, I'm done. I'm going to head back and jump on this computer and finish some things up." She looks at me and says, "Okay, hun." Looks back down at her phone and drinking her wine. I said, "You want me to get the dishes?" She said, "No. No, I got it. Don't worry." She looked at my plate and didn't say a word and went right back to her phone guys. This was not my fiance. I knew something was wrong. Plus, I had the gut feeling. So, like I said before, contrary to many people's beliefs, kids that go to boarding schools do indeed still communicate with their parents. The one I communicate with most is my father. My mom will call maybe once a month. I'll talk to her here and there, but like I said, they look out for me. But I feel more comfortable calling my father if I needed to call any one of them. I called my father and I just was generally having a conversation with him. I didn't say anything about my ex-fiance or anything. I just told him I wanted to talk to him, and he was happy that I called and told me that he was thinking about me. I told him that I had proposed to my ex-fiance. My father was ecstatic, very happy for me and proud of me. He hadn't met my ex-fiance before. He demanded that I give him her father's number. Right then and there I said, "Okay, should I let him know you're going to call?" He said, "No, absolutely not." After our phone call, I guess is when he called her father, because later that afternoon, my ex-fiance's father calls me. He's just happy and proud, telling me I'm the best son ever and to not tell his other kids that. He told me that my father was a very generous man and a stand-up man because he's doing the right thing. Fathers should pay for their daughter's wedding, but he insisted that I don't pay for anything, is what my ex-fiance's father told me. Now I never go around telling people that my parents are rich. I don't say anything about it. I'm very vague about what they do. I say that they work for companies. I don't say that they own these companies, but my ex-fiance's father sat there and asked me, "Is your father rich or something?" I said absolutely not. He is a saver, though. He's very frugal with his money. So things were underway. My dad definitely started calling more often because he wanted more information and he was ordering things and getting things set up. My dad had the perfect place for us to get married. Now, here's the thing. My dad didn't get screwed over when I canceled the wedding. My dad actually told me, "Son, if you get cold feet," not saying I want you to think about this, but if you get cold feet, let me know immediately. And he actually gave me a date to keep in mind because after that date, he loses percentages of money. Now, like I said, my dad is very well off. He has money, but contrary to your belief, anyone listening, most people with money are very stingy with money and very careful with money. That's why they have so much of it. My dad doesn't spend recklessly just doesn't want to just throw money away. So I told him, Dad, of course, I don't think anything's going to happen like that. But yeah, if something goes wrong and I want to cancel the wedding, then yes, you're the first person I'm calling. That's what I did actually. So about 20 days after the proposal, that gut feeling was always there. Well, here and there. It'll show up, go away, show up again. But pretty much every single day I felt it. Something just told me to go through my girl's phone, go through her laptops, do what you got to do. Just to be certain in my head, okay? I'm going to make this big move by getting married. I want to be sure. I want to be 100% sure. So I started to go through her things. Whenever I'd stay out at her house or she stayed at mine, I went through her stuff. I knew her passwords. This was on 2 occasions. So this is what happened. The first time, her phone was near her on her side of the bed. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was terrified to do it because I didn't want to get caught. So I went to the living room and I logged into her laptop. I've been in there before. I'm looking at Facebook eventually. I did notice that her ex was liking a lot of her statuses. Now, on my end of Facebook, I didn't even think to look at that. I didn't think to see who was liking her pictures or her statuses or comments or anything like that. I could see her post, but didn't really bother me, and I didn't go investigating. But when I logged into her Facebook, well, it was already logged in. I clicked on the icons to see who was liking, and he was liking every single thing. She posted kind of a red flag, I guess, but that didn't mean she did anything. Boy, was I wrong. The next time I was at her place, I mustered up the energy to go through her phone. That was on the charger next to her on the bed. By the way, guys, if you're charging a phone, do not have it near you. It's very dangerous anyway. I unhook her phone and I go into the bathroom. I know her password. I get in and I go straight to the messages. I know her ex's name, so it was pretty easy to find him in there. Sure enough, my fiance was cheating on me. They had videos filmed in her phone. She had them in a locked folder, and the idiot's password was the same as the password to unlock her screen. I knew the videos were recent because she has my initials on her hand in the video. This prick is filming my fiance suck him off and then film different scenes of them getting it on. I saw in the messages exchanged that she'd let him watch when they were together. I assume they used it to get things going. I don't know, but she didn't want him having full control of the videos. They had plans to meet for dinner. It was even in her calendar. I didn't say anything. I scheduled a doctor's appointment, told my dad that everything was off, and told him why. I asked him if he's planned on calling my fiance's father to let him know, and my dad told me to just ghost them all, and he had no intention of reaching out. I got checked out, and while waiting days and days scared. The date for the dinner date arrived, and I went to the restaurant. My fiancé had no idea I knew anything. I just didn't say much, and we didn't have sex anymore. She tried, but I was making excuses. I see them as soon as I walked in the restaurant. I walked right past the greeter and went to their table to confront them. This prick of an ex-boyfriend is just sitting there with a smirk on his face. I wanted to punch him so bad. My ex-fiancé says, "Babe, what are you doing here?" I said, "What the F are you doing here? Why are you eating with your ex?" She says to me that it's only dinner and nothing more. I reminded her of the text messages and videos on her phone. She proceeded to lie to my face and say there's no such video in her phone. This prick is laughing, saying, "Oh no, he saw the video." I tell her that the wedding has been canceled and to stay the F out of my life. The next time I saw my ex is when I was handing over some of her clothes to her at my place outside. She tried asking if we could talk. I stopped and told her to shut the F up, don't ever speak to me. She looked as if she was going to cry, and she left. And that was the last time I saw her. Definitely not the last time I heard from her dad and brother. They both were so upset with me, and her brother challenged me to a boxing match. Apparently, at the bar he works at, they hold boxing matches. I, of course, declined. He then proceeded to give me locations to come to so he could bash my face in. Dude is nuts. I dodged a bullet. The moral of this story is trust your gut. Take care, true story epic. Yes, you definitely dodged a huge bullet, man. We heard a story like this before. You were dealing with somebody that was just lying behind your back. You guys got to do more investigation, man. You got to like really know, but like I'm glad you found out before you married her. Yeah, been screwing with this guy. Filming it? Recording it on her phone. She was scared to give it to him. He sounds like, so he was a prick. He sounds like he probably would have sent it to you somehow, some way. Hey, look at your fiance. And you knew it was recent because you said there was a tattoo involved or something. Oh my gosh. And then the dad and the brother getting upset. They're mad. I think they knew that your dad or your parents had a pretty penny, right? And they're like, oh, we're going to be missing out. Oh, you piece of crap, you need to marry my daughter. Because they're probably thinking like, well, if they get a divorce, she marries him, we can probably get some money somehow, some way. Pretty sure dad's smarter than that and he wouldn't let that couldn't happen, but still. Could have got that little 2-bedroom house or whatever. I don't know. It's just ridiculous, man. You dodged a bullet. Thanks for sending in this story, man. I really appreciate it. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments. If you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com. I'm going to catch you guys at the next one.